Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why and how of newspaper reading. Today we are going to analyze The Hindu dated 29th of September 2019. Displayed on your screen is a list of articles that we are going to discuss today. Timestamping for the same has been provided in the description of the video. Let's begin. We have taken this article from page number 14 of today's newspaper and it talks about quantum supremacy. Now, as far as this topic is concerned, this will come under the preliminary examination primarily, and it will be important from the current events of national or international importance. However, this news is in transition, and hence we will be focusing on terms and concepts related to quantum computing. Let's begin. Recently, a research paper became public, which is yet to be formally vetted by peers in the field on the NASA website. It seems that Google has achieved quantum supremacy. Quantum supremacy implies that use of quantum computing to solve really difficult problem in seconds, which a supercomputer could not. Now, in order to understand this particular idea, we need to understand qubits. So we need to understand what is qubit and how it is different from bits from the regular computing. Now, today's computer use bits, a stream of electrical or optical pulses representing in ones or zeros. Everything from your emails to your music to your videos is actually nothing but long string of binary digits. Even this video is nothing but the same thing. Quantum computers, on the other hand, use qubits, which are typically subatomic particles such as electrons or protons, and they can represent 0 to 1 at the same time. Now, this is the difference that we are talking about. When we talk about bits, they represent either 0 or 1. But in qubits, it is possible for the electron or proton to represent 0 and 1 at the same time. Qubits have quantum properties that mean a connected group of them can provide way more processing power than the same number of binary bits. One of those properties is known as superposition and the other is called as entanglement. Now let's understand these terms. Now qubits can represent numerous combinations of 0 and 1 at the same time. This ability of simultaneously be in multiple states is called as superposition. To put qubits into superpositions, researchers manipulate using precision lasers or microwave beams. Thanks to this counterintuitive phenomena, a quantum computer with several qubits in superimposition can crunch through vast number of potential outcomes simultaneously. So what is entanglement? Researchers can generate pairs of qubits that are entangled, which means the two members of the pair exist in a single quantum state. Changing the state of one of the qubits will instantaneously change the state of the other in a predictable way. And this is called as entanglement. Another term that we need to understand is decoherence. Now, the interaction of qubits with their environment in a way that causes quantum behavior to decay and ultimately disappear is called as decoherence. The quantum state is extremely fragile. The slightest vibration or change in temperature can cause them to tumble out of superposition before their job has been properly done. That is why researchers do their best to protect qubits from outside world in those super cooled fridges and vacuum chambers. Now this takes us to the point of discussion. What is quantum supremacy? Quantum supremacy is a point at which quantum computer can complete a mathematical calculation that is demonstrably beyond the reach of even the most powerful computer. According to author, a quantum calculation which was done by quantum computing in 200 seconds, the fastest supercomputer will take around 10,000 years to complete that calculation. This shows how powerful the quantum computing is all about, which establishes quantum supremacy. Now, with this, we need to understand what is the difference between the classical and quantum computer. Now, as far as classical computer is considered, it is a large-scale integrated multi-purpose computer. And when we're talking about classical computer, we are actually focusing on supercomputers that are normally existing. Quantum computers It is a high-speed parallel computer based on quantum mechanics. And when we say quantum mechanics, it means the speed of calculation is very high. Now, as far as classical computers is concerned, information storage in bits based on voltage or charge. And information storage in quantum computers is quantum bits based on the direction of electron spin. Information processing is carried out by logic gates, for example, NOT, AND, OR gates, etc. Information processing is carried out by quantum logic gates. Circuit behavior is governed by classical physics, in which the value is stored either in 0 or 1. Circuit behavior is governed explicitly by quantum mechanics, in which the information can be 0 and 1 at the same time. Classical computers use binary codes, that is bits of 0 or 1, to represent information. Quantum computers use qubits of 0, 1, and both of them simultaneously to run machines faster. Now, as far as the classical computers are concerned, operations are defined by Boolean algebra, and for quantum computers, operations are defined by linear algebra over Hilbert space and can be represented by unitary matrix with complex elements. Author also goes on to mention the state of quantum computing in India. Currently, there are no quantum computers in India. However, in 2018, Department of Science and Technology unveiled a program called Quantum Enabled Science and Technology, or Quest, and committed to investing rupees 80 crore over the next 3 years to accelerate research. Now, the topic of Sundarbans is taken from page number 15 of today's newspaper, and it talks about a very interesting topic, which is bio-restoring degraded patches of Sundarbans. Now, as far as this topic is concerned, it will be important from prelims as well as for the mains examination. In the prelims, it will come under general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity, and climate change. In the mains examination, it will be part of General Studies Paper 3, and it will come under the subhead of conservation, environmental pollution and degradation, and environmental impact assessment. In the year 2014, we have seen a question which talks about Sundarbans. Which of the following have coral reefs? First is Andaman and Nicobar, second is Gulf of Kutch, third is Gulf of Mannar, and fourth is Sundarban. The correct answer is option A, because there are no coral reefs in Sundarbans. So correct answer would be 1, 2, and 3. That is option A. Let's move to the news analysis. Now, increasing anthropogenic activities along with natural stress have led to massive degradation of one of India's World Heritage Site, the Sundarbans. According to a recent study, lack of essential nutrients and high salinity were the problems that the Sundarbans is facing. Nutrient depletion, especially of phosphorus and nitrogen, were found to be directly connected with the decline of the forest cover. Researchers also saw a change in the species distribution. Salt-sensitive ones such as Heritiriformes, Xylocarpus, and Phoenix paldosa were not able to cope with the increase in salinity and declined, while the tolerant varieties thrived. The team of researchers even started a biorestoration process that involved initially stabilizing the site of restoration by planting 4 native salt-tolerant varieties of grass. These grasses proved to exhibit the highest survival in lower and middle intertidal zone. The grass rhizosphere also provided a nutrient atmosphere to the colonizing mangrove, because this root zone decomposes microbes and helps release more nutrients into mud flat soils. In addition, these grasses also provided protection from high energy waves and subsequent soil erosions. The team also used native plant growth promoting bacteria to enrich the degraded land. The team also established an on-site mangrove nursery, and during each season collected mangrove buds and maintained in nursery till transplantation. About 22 species of mangroves were restored in the region, which included threatened, endangered, and vulnerable species. Now we need to understand what is ecological restoration. Ecological restoration means reviving native ecosystem in degraded areas while maintaining the diversity of original flora and fauna through regeneration, but bringing down the regeneration period to 4 to 5 years only. Now, we also need to understand how biorestoration is helping to revive degraded mangroves in Sundarbans. a new technology developed by Indian scientists for ecological restoration is helping in a revival of mangroves which were degraded. The new technology developed consists of plantation of native salt tolerant grasses and a diverse set of carefully identified mangrove species in different zones of degraded mangrove patches. It also involves use of growth promoting bacteria in areas that were more susceptible to erosion due to transportive force of tidal water. Transplanted seedlings were protected by iron wired cages in the root zone. The restored site is like a mini Sundarban, which has diversity of species usually observed in pristine mangroves of Indian Sundarban. Mangroves of Indian Sundarbans. Now let us also understand about Sundarbans. The Sundarban ecosystem is a unique natural wonder of South Asia and the world. The site is intersected by a complex network of tidal waterways, mudflats, and small islands of salt-tolerant mangrove forest and present an excellent example of ongoing ecological process. It is a delta of two great Indian rivers, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, which covers the Bengal basin. The whole area is kingdom of the famous Royal Bengal tiger. The Sundarban is protected wetland under Ramsar Convention and also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Sundarban National Park is a tiger and a biosphere reserve located in Sundarban Delta in the state of West Bengal, that is in India. The Sundarban is named after the Sundari trees which are found in bulk in this area. Now there are some concerns for this area as well. Small coastal patches of mangrove forests are highly vulnerable and fragmentation of ecosystem is creating barriers to species movement and dispersal. It is also vulnerable to climate change. Lying in low coastal zone, since it is lying in low coastal zone, Sundarban is vulnerable to floods, earthquake, cyclone, sea rise, and coastline erosion. Studies suggest that climate change is leading to increased salinity and higher tidal surges and permanent submergence of land mass. Next important is exploitation of natural resources. This biotic pressure and unsustainable exploitation of forest resources leads to the degradation of natural habitat, resulting in loss of biodiversity. Last but not the least is the human wildlife conflict. Through this map, you can see that this is India, this is Bangladesh, and this bigger region is the Sundarban area. It is important to keep in mind the location and the features of Sundarban. Now we have taken this article from the magazine of today's newspaper, and this is on the page number 6. It basically is a case study and it talks about visit to an e-grave. Now as far as this topic is concerned, this will be related to more of an e-waste management, and this topic is important not only from the prelims but also for the mains examination. In the prelims examination, it will come under general issues of environmental ecology, and in mains, it will come under general studies paper 3, environment, and subtopic will be environmental pollution. Now, we have also seen questions on the similar topic. In 2013, there was a question which talked about due to improper, indiscriminate disposal of old and used computers or their parts, which of the following are released into environment as e-waste. And we have to identify between beryllium, cadmium, chromium, heptachlor, mercury, lead, plutonium. Now this question is very easy because plutonium is a radioactive material which is not released as an e-waste. So remove 7 from all the options where you can see. So A is gone, C is gone, D is gone, and the correct answer would be option B. Let's start the article. Now, India is one of the fastest growing markets for electronic, and demand in project is expected to reach US dollar 400 billion by 2020, and India's contribution to electronic waste is expected to touch 5 million tons. This news highlights about an area, Selampur in Delhi, which has become the hub for unregulated reprocess of e-waste. So let's go through the environmental impact of e-waste and e-waste management rules in India. First and foremost, let's try to understand environmental impact of e-waste. First and foremost, electronic goods that are past their shelf life are broken down manually for precious metal or burned or discarded in landfill and go on to contaminate land and water. These heavy metals leach through soil to reach groundwater channel, which eventually run to surface as streams or small ponds in water. Local communities often depend on these bodies of water and the underground water. Apart from these chemicals resulting in death in some of the plants and animals that exist in water, intake of the contaminated water by human and land animals results in lead poisoning. Some of these heavy metals are also carcinogenic. Toxic heavy metals and chemicals from e-waste enter the soil crop food pathway, one of the most significant routes for heavy metals exposure to humans. These chemicals are not biodegradable and they persist in the environment for a long period of time, increasing the risk of exposure. The heavy metals present in e-waste are known to cause neurological and skin disease, breathing problems, genetic defects, and cancer in workers who handle such waste. Those who collect e-waste burn some of them to get copper, which is expensive. This creates air pollution as it releases hydrocarbons in air. So let us understand the e-waste rules which will help us in regulating e-waste and its harmful effect on people. Now the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has notified e-waste management rules and replaced the e-waste management and handling rules of 2011. These rules shall apply to every manufacturer, producer, consumer, bulk consumer, collection center, dealers, e-retailers, refurbisher, dismantler, and recycler involved in manufacture, sale, transfer, purchase, collection, storage, and processing of e-waste or electricals and electronic equipments listed in Schedule 1, including their components, consumables, parts and spares which make the product operational, but shall not apply to: first, used lead acid batteries as covered under the Batteries Management and Handling Rules of 2001, micro enterprises as defined in Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act of 2006, radioactive waste as covered under the provision of Atomic Energy Act of 1962. Before moving further, let's first understand the various parties of e-waste management rules. First and foremost is a producer. Producer can be a manufacturer who offers to sell electric and electronic equipments and their components or consumables or parts or spares under its own brand. Or producer may be someone who sells under its own brand assembled electrical and electronic equipments and their components, etc. Or the producer can be an importer who offers to sell imported electrical and electronic equipments and their components or consumables or parts or spares. So these are the three categories of producers. Extended producer's responsibility means responsibility of any producer or electrical or electronic equipment or channelization of e-waste to ensure environmentally sound management of such waste. Extended producer's responsibility may comprise of implementing take-back system or setting up of collection centers or both, and having agreed arrangements with authorized dismantlers or recyclers either individually or collectively through a producer responsibility organization recognized by producer or producers in their extended producer responsibility authorization. Extended producer's responsibility authorization means a permission given by Central Pollution Control Board to a producer for managing extended producer responsibility with implementation plans and targets outlined in such authorization, including detail of producer responsibility organization and e-waste exchange if applicable. Producer responsibility organization means a professional organization authorized or financed collectively or individually by producers which can take the responsibility for collection and channelizing of e-waste generated from end of life of their product to ensure environmentally sound management of such e-waste. Historical e-waste means e-waste generated from electrical and electronic equipments as specified in Schedule 1, which are available on the date from which these rules came into force. Last but not the least is orphaned products, which means non-branded or assembled electrical and electronic equipments as specified in Schedule 1, or those products by a company which has closed its operations. Now, as far as the salient features of 2016 rules are considered, it includes:
First and foremost, extended producers responsibility, setting up of producer responsibility organization and e-waste exchange to facilitate collection and recycling, assigning specific responsibility to bulk consumers of electronic products for safe disposal, providing for economic incentive for collection and channelization of electronic waste, simplified permission process for setting up of dismantling and recycling facilities through single authorization based on standard operating procedures prescribed by Central Pollution Control Board. State governments have been entrusted the responsibility for earmarking industrial space for deposit refund scheme has been introduced as an additional economic instrument wherein the producer charges an additional amount as a deposit at the time of sale of the electrical and electronic equipment and returns it to the consumer along with interest when the end of life electrical and electronic equipment is returned. Urban local bodies has been assigned the duty to collect and channelize the orphan products to authorized dismantler or recycler. Some of the salient features of the e-waste management amendment rules of 2018 are as follows. The e-waste collection targets under extended producer responsibility have been revised and will be applicable from 1st of October 2017. The phase-wise collection target of e-waste in weight shall be 10% of the quantity of waste generation as indicated in the EPR plan during the 2017-18 with a 10% increase every year until 2023. After 2023 onwards, the target has been made 70% of the quantity of the waste generation as indicated in the EPR plan. The quantity of e-waste collected by producers from the 1st of October 2016 to 30th of September 2017 shall be accounted for in the revised EPR target until the March 2018. Separate e-waste collection targets have been drafted for new producers, that is, those producers whose number of years of sales operation is less than the average life of their products. The average lives of the products will be as per the guidelines issued by Central Pollution Control Board from the time to time. Producer Responsibility Organization or PROs shall apply to the Central Pollution Control Boards for registration to undertake activities prescribed in the rules. Under the reduction of hazardous substances, that is ROHS, provisions, cost for sampling and testing shall be borne by government for conducting the ROHS test. If the product does not comply with ROHS provision, then the cost of the test will be borne by the producer. With this, let's move to the next article. This news is taken from page number 11 and it talks about Meghalaya's minor tribe fear exclusion from the 6th schedule. Now, this topic is important from the perspective of polity and governance for prelims as well as for mains. Under prelims, it will be part of Indian polity and governance, constitution, political system, panchayati raj, public policy, rights issue, etc. And as far as mains is concerned, it will be part of Indian constitution, historical underpinnings, evolution, features, amendments, significant provisions, and basic structure. Now, as far as provisions are concerned, provisions of 6th and 5th schedule are important from the perspective of this news. Now, in 2015, we have seen a question. The provision of 5th schedule and 6th schedule in the Constitution of India are made in order to, so the correct answer in this case is option A, protect the interest of scheduled tribes. B is incorrect, determine the boundaries between state. C is incorrect, determine the power, authority and responsibility of panchayats. And last, protect the interest of all the border states. By this understanding, we know the correct answer is option A. Let's begin the news. Let's begin. Meghalaya wants to exclude unrepresentative tribes from the provisions of 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution. This has left the minor tribes of Meghalaya in a state of confusion. Meghalaya is divided into autonomous councils in the name of 3 major matrilineal communities, namely Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia. The minority tribes include the Hajong, Koch, Rabha, Boro, and Man. Now let's try to understand the problem at hand. On 26th of September, a subcommittee constituted by the state government has decided to recommend to the Standing Committee of the Parliament for the removal of the word unrepresented tribes from the amended 6th schedule. Currently, members of such minor tribes are nominated to autonomous district council. This distinction among tribes has resulted in tribes majoritism, and the minority tribes after the amendment will be non-indigenous and unwanted in their own land. Now it is important to understand the provisions of 6th schedule. Now, as far as 6th schedule is considered, 6th schedule was made part of the constitution for the administration of tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. It provides for the creation of autonomous districts and autonomous regions by the governor of these states. If there are different scheduled tribes in an autonomous district, the governor may, by public notification, divide the area or area inhabited by them into autonomous regions. Governor of the four states, the states we have already mentioned, are empowered to declare some tribal dominated districts or areas of these states as autonomous districts and autonomous regions by executive order. The governor also has the power to include any area, exclude an area, increase, diminish, unite two districts or regions, and alter the names and bounds of these autonomous regions and districts. It provides for the constitution of district councils and regional councils. There shall be a district council for each autonomous district consisting of not more than 30 members, of whom not more than 4 members shall be nominated by the governor, and the rest shall be elected on the basis of adult suffrage. The elected members of district council shall hold the office for 5 years. There shall be a separate regional council for each area constituted as an autonomous region. Now, as already mentioned, 6th schedule takes into account the administration of tribal areas of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. For other areas, 5th schedule is also important. The PDF of this video has provisions of 5th schedule listed, and you should go through them. Now we have taken this news from page number 8, and it talks about Bathukamma festival, which is celebrated in Telangana. This topic is important from the perspective of the prelims as well as mains. In mains, this will come under General Studies paper 1, Indian Heritage and Culture, and it will be covered under Indian Culture, will cover the salient aspect of art forms, literature, architecture from the ancient to modern times. Now similar topics have been asked in the recent examinations as well. For example, in 2017, this question was asked in which, with reference to the Manipuri Sankirtana, consider the following statements. The statements are: statement number 1, it is a song and dance performance. Second is, cymbals are the only musical instruments used in the performance. And third is, it is performed to narrate the life and deeds of Lord Krishna. So we know that cymbals are not the only musical instruments. There are more musical instruments also involved. So second is definitely wrong. So first is correct and third is correct. So correct answer is option B, that is 1 and 3 only. Now the Bathukamma festival, which is also known as the unique festival of flowers in Telangana, is a colorful and vibrant festival which is celebrated by women with flowers that grow exclusively in that region. The festival is also the symbol of Telangana's cultural identity. The festival is celebrated during the later half of the monsoon and before the onset of winter. The monsoon usually brings plenty of water into freshwater ponds of Telangana, and it is also the time when wildflowers bloom in different vibrant colors all across an uncultivated barren plains of region. The most abundant of these are Gonokopolu and Tangedupolu flowers. There are other flowers as well. For example, Banti, Chemanti, Nandi, Vardhanam. Bathukamma celebrates the inherent relationship between the earth, the water, and the human beings. During the entire preceding week, women make Bodamma, a deity of Gauri, Mother Durga, made of earthly mud, along with Bathukamma, and immerse in the pond. This helps in reinforcing the ponds and help it retain more water. The flowers used in Bathukamma have a great purifying. The flowers used in Bathukamma have a great quality of purifying water, and such flowers, when immersed in abundance into the pond, have the effect of cleansing the water and making environment much better. In times when freshwater ponds are gradually diminishing and dwindling away, it is indeed a pride of Telangana that its women folk inherently know how to make them better by celebrating the beauty of nature. The festival heralds the beauty of nature, collective spirit of Telangana people, the indomitable spirit of women folks, and also the scientific approach of agrarian people towards preserving the resources of nature in a celebrative way. Hence, Bathukamma is the icon of cultural identity of Telangana.
Now, based on today's discussion, let's take a practice question. Practice question number 1. Consider the following statement about Bathukamma festival. Statement 1 says it is a colorful, vibrant festival of Telangana and celebrated by women with flowers that grow exclusively in that region. This is correct. It is celebrated in March before the onset of summer. This is incorrect. It celebrates the inherent relationship between earth, water, and the human being. This is correct. The flowers used in Bathukamma have the great quality of purifying water sources. This is also correct. And hence, the correct answer choice would not have statement 2. Only option A is one such choice. So, correct answer is option A. As far as question number 2 is concerned, this is part of the UPSC Prelims Examination 2019. And this question has been asked because in today's newspaper, there was a news which talks about a sun being torn apart by a black hole. Recently, scientists observed the merger of giant black holes billions of light year away from the Earth. What is the significance of this observation? So, correct answer in this case is option B, that is, gravitational waves were detected. Practice question number 3. Which of the following are the major tribes of Meghalaya? Hojo, Garo, Khasi, Jayantia. From our today's discussion, we know that Garo, Khasi, and Jayantia are major tribes, but Hojo is not. So the correct answer for this is option A, that is 2, 3, and 4 only. As far as practice question number 4, which of the following is our characteristic of Sundarbans? It derives its name from Sundari tree. This is correct. It is the largest mangrove forest in the world. This is also correct. It is home to white tiger. This is incorrect. By this logic, the correct answer is option C, that is 1 and 2 only. With this, we have come to the end of today's session. Let's move to the question of the day.